Welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars. Before we dive into today's whirlwind, take a moment to subscribe and keep those notifications on, because what we're about to unpack has everyone talking. Tonight, we're stepping into the world of Wikuku, the film that reunited Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu and sent both the box office and social feeds into overdrive, and into the unexpected ripple that Hazal created with a single, loaded sentence. From the first hours of release, Wikuku sprinted to a record pace, drawing in crowds at a rate that stunned even seasoned insiders. The curiosity around seeing Barış and Elçin together again burned like a fuse. Their reunion alone was enough to pull people into theaters by the thousands. Online chatter surged, with post after post dissecting every frame, every breath, every glance. Viewers couldn't get enough of Barış's shadowed, layered incarnation of Ferman and Elçin's tender yet steely say, a pairing that felt like both a memory and something entirely new. Then, just as the premiere glow still hovered in the air, Hazal posted. It was short. Almost spare. And it detonated the conversation. She shared the film's striking poster art and wrote a single line beneath it, "In the right hands, certain tales turn into legends." Simple, elegant, and yet somehow heavy. People read into it, they felt it in their bones. Within minutes, threads spun with interpretations. Was it pure praise, a coded tribute, or both? The sentence didn't shout, it resonated, and that echo didn't stop. Fans quickly took it as Hazal tipping her hat to Barış. After all, they've navigated the same industry corridors for years, intersecting in festivals, workshops, and late-night gatherings where the business of acting turns into the art of storytelling. Comments poured in insisting Hazal had sent a meaningful nod to a longtime colleague, a warm acknowledgement of a friend who had taken on a demanding role and delivered with quiet power. Others saw it as a graceful embrace of Elçin as well, a recognition that certain partnerships, especially this one, light up a screen in ways that remind everyone why they fell in love with cinema in the first place. As the post barreled through feeds, microphones found Hazal with lightning speed. She didn't flinch. She smiled, as she does, and said, "Don't turn this into a drama, my friends. They're both dear to me. I wish for them to share the same project as often as life allows. They're exceptional performers, and they've done something beautiful here." The word choice was gentle but assured, and that one line, "Don't turn this into a drama, my friends," started popping up everywhere, clipped into edits, transformed into captions, tossed around between fans who loved how it closed the door on sensationalism and opened the window to camaraderie. There was more in the air than a casual compliment. Nostalgia was part of it, too. The kind that trails behind artists whose paths have become part of the audience's collective memory. Barış and Elçin's shared past on screen has carved its own place in pop culture, so Hazal's post tapped into that tender space where legacy and novelty collide. Commentators applauded her approach, not rivalry, but respect, not posturing, but a genuine cheer. A few critics even weighed in, arguing that the industry needs these moments, the visible bridges between stars who recognize one another's work without caveat. It's not common, they said, for words so brief to embody so much grace. Of course, the ripple reached Barış. When pressed at a press event, he answered with that calm warmth his fans know so well, "Hazal has always had a special place with me. We go back years." Hearing what she said made me happy. Real friendships don't fade, they settle in, and they last. The response was as measured as it was heartfelt, and it sent fans spiraling through clips and collages, rewatching old interviews and piecing together a visual thread of mutual appreciation that felt like its own mini-documentary. Elçin spoke, too, in her unforced, gracious way. She posted a simple line that said everything without trying to say too much. "Support is a kindness I never take for granted. Thank you, Hazal." The message took flight immediately, and the conversation began to shape itself around solidarity rather than speculation. People started citing the three names together as a refreshing model of how this business can look when egos get put aside and applause is shared openly. One viewer summed it up perfectly in a comment that kept getting reposted. "There's a polish to Elçin's response that feels timeless. Understated, but unforgettable." Meanwhile, whispers from the Wikuku set added color to the picture. The director talked about how Barış and Elçin carried an invisible current between them, a kind of electricity that doesn't have to be pushed, it simply exists and makes every scene richer. A crew member described moments where nothing but eye contact completed the moment, where a silence was a line, and a lingering look was the final piece of the script. That observation mirrored the spirit of Hazal's sentence: in the correct hands, a story doesn't just play, it breathes. And when the team is right, the audience feels past and present collapsing into one pulse. Discussion surged to the point where Hazal's post itself became a cultural headline. People praised the economy of it: a single image, a single sentence, and an aftershock louder than any lengthy speech. Some said the simplicity made it unforgettable. Others added that it reframed the conversation around Wikuku itself. It wasn't merely about a hit movie, it was about the way artists can amplify one another without overshadowing the work. So why is Wikuku on everyone's lips? Beyond the numbers and the noise, the film carries craft. The narrative keeps its mysteries close to the chest, it holds you and refuses to let go. Furman's edges are jagged in all the right places, and Say's fragility is never separate from her strength. The action sequences have a visceral calm to them, orchestrated rather than flung. It's been a while since a local production fused romantic tension with a simmering thriller tempo in a way that felt both polished and personal. In that light, Hazal's comment wasn't only emotional, it was a sophisticated read on the work. She recognized the right pairing of story and performers, the exact alignment that pushes a film across the line from successful to unforgettable. Behind the scenes, the entertainment shows couldn't keep away from the ripple effect. Some hosts spoke about the warmth of Hazal's tone and how it fed into the broader story surrounding Barış and Elçin. A few skeptics tried to label it as a neat piece of publicity, but that angle never took hold. The sincerity between these three was palpable, and audiences can smell authenticity a mile away. People who've watched Barış and Elçin evolve for years, individually and together, sensed that what was happening here wasn't manufactured. It was a genuine exchange among friends who respect each other's craft. And for those who track the mosaic of star personas, Hazal's stance was perfectly on brand. She spent years cultivating a presence built on poise, measured words, and a disarming lack of vanity. She's known for keeping warm ties with names like Kıvanç Tatlıtuğ, Barış Arduç, and Engin Akurek, and her note about Wikuku fit right into that long game of thoughtful support. She doesn't perform maturity, she lives it, even when the headlines try to nudge her into the louder lane. One critic wrote that Hazal's sentence functioned almost like a capsule review, concise, but somehow a complete thought. In the appropriate hands, with the appropriate cast, a potent story can become mythic. That's what people have been trying to say for days now, the critic added, and she distilled it in a single breath. Perhaps that's why the line had such staying power, it gave a chorus of scattered feelings one clean note to sing. After a storm like this, the same question pops up everywhere: could Hazal, Barış, and Elçin ever share the same project? Officially, nothing is in motion. Unofficially, imaginations are already at work, and suggestions tumble out by the hour: a prestige miniseries, a morally gray feature, something that blends romance and intrigue while giving all three space to stretch. No one knows if it will happen. Still, the tantalizing possibility is part of the thrill. With three names like these, sometimes the idea alone feels like an event. So here we are, watching a movie become a movement, not by bluster, but by the quiet power of artists who show up for one another and let the work speak. Wikuku has found its audience and then some. Barış Arduç has carved out a darker, deeper register as Furman, and Elçin Sangu's Say unfolds like a delicate letter that keeps surprising you the more you read. Hazal Kaya, with that single line, reminded everyone that applause can be as generous as it is discerning, and that a graceful word can make the whole industry stand a little taller. Now it's your turn. Did you read Hazal's sentence as a heartfelt salute to Barış, a shared embrace of Elçin, or a love letter to the entire team behind Wikuku? Tell us what you heard in that one line. If you enjoyed this deep dive, like the video, subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars, and turn on that bell so you never miss what's next. In our upcoming episode, we'll bring you fresh whispers from the Wikuku set and the surprising offers now circling around Elçin Sangu. This spotlight doesn't dim, and neither do we. Until next time, remember, around here, secrets don't hide for long.